Oh, you twat. Stop eating biscuits in front of me. Honestly.
It's alive! Let's show this prehistoric bitch how we do things downtown.
Welcome to episode 3 of Empire of Geek, and this week we've got with us Raoul.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Raoul. He uses a code name. So
Are we recording now?
yeah, we're recording now. I've been recording for the last few minutes. Yes, we've been recording for a while. Yeah, that bloke over there, Rob, uses the name Raoul because he doesn't want people to know who he is. We're also, because Andy's away this week, doing some snowboarding and nonsense like that, trying to be cool, we decided that we needed to find a replacement for him. So we originally decided to get a bag of flour, didn't we?
A sack of potatoes or something.
Or a sack of potatoes, but we couldn't afford a sack of potatoes, so we had to go for plan B, and it's our good friend who's never been on the show, first time on the show,
Lord Paul.
Lord Catface himself, Paul. Say hello to the listeners, all 6 of them.
Hello.
Meow.
Yes, I'm working with myself. It's all a very new experience for me.
Yes, I think you're gonna do well. I've got a feeling.
It's great. Something aunt, cousin, grandma. I don't know. He's related to Queen Victoria.
Oh, Steve, tell the story. Who is it I'm related to?
You're 57th in line for the throne. That's what it is.
And what family do I descend from?
It's the Chateau family.
Le Chat.
Yeah.
They're all the Chats in my family, yeah.
Anyway, that's enough of that crap.
Moving on.
Right, last week, before we get on to all the geeky stuff,
All the cookies.
we all want to know, Rob last week promised that he would be starting a diet this year, and a new exercise regime. Rob,
Diet and fitness.
Yeah, diet and fitness. It's been a
Raoul.
week. Raoul, sorry. Bloody hell. Raoul, how's it gone? Tell the folks at home. And just bear in mind, this podcast is essentially science fiction. So this bit of news will fit in perfectly with that.
£8 in 8 days.
£8 in 8 days.
And where did they put the calipers?
£8.15 in 8 days.
Are you not upset about them cutting your arms off, though?
Oh yeah, hilarious. No, I've been eating 6 meals a day, beasting myself every day.
What have you been doing to beast yourself, anyway?
It's called high intensity interval training.
Yeah, we've all heard of HIIT training, but what are some of the exercises you do? Talk. But you've got to think that a lot of the people who are drawn to this will be geeks. And like most geeks, they're not known for their physical prowess. You are breaking the ice through from kind of being a lazy git through. Yeah, but Andy's not really a geek, is he? He's just a ginger, quiet man.
Are you saying in some way that Raoul is giving geeky people hope in some way?
Yes,
they too can also...
I think Raoul has given lots of people hope. First of all, Rob got a girlfriend and maintained that girlfriend for about 5 years.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
That was a big breakthrough. Yeah. And she is lovely.
The people at home don't know Raoul, but...
Well, I don't live with her.
Anyone who's spent 5 minutes with Raoul and then finds out he's got a girlfriend realises that there's some kind of magic going on. Surely. There's some kind of trickery. So,
what's the skills?
But if you do want to see a photograph of Rob, all you have to do is log
Raoul!
log on to Lincoln's got type geekyplasticfetish.com and you'll see him there.
Does that exist?
Huh?
Well, my battery's on my phone, so I can't check.
It's going to exist. We're going to make it exist. I'll actually deliberately make a website with your face on it.
So, tell me some of the exercise you've been doing. Tell the folks at home.
Well, I've got
how they can sculpt themselves into a specimen like you, Rob.
Well, I've got the little bit of paper in the car. No, honestly, I've done exactly as been told.
Yeah, just tell us some of the exercises. What are they?
Well,
do you squat thrusts? I can imagine you squatting.
Sorry, Dash is licking my knees.
I'm trying to stop myself from thinking
I've
about thrusting.
I've forgotten the names of a lot of them, but...
do you want to do some now? Admittedly, it doesn't work that well on a podcast.
Well, I can describe them. I can describe them to you. So the first exercise I do is just a squat with dumbbells, just dumbbell squat. Then that's followed by there's this box thing, and I've got to like step up onto it with
Step ups.
weights. Yeah, like one on one leg, then one on the other leg, and vice versa. Then this is followed by burpees, which I know they kill me. honestly, like I'm dying now, and I've got to do that like.
I thought it said herpes.
Yeah.
Not herpes, burpees.
Why do you have to rub against me so much? It's that hands-on approach that the trainers give.
What's a rash now?
Nothing a bit penicillin won't cure. So, you do your burpees, and then after that, it's a bench press, followed by what's after the bench press? More squats, followed by it's this thing where
this one is entertaining a section as I thought it was going to be, to be honest. But carry on. So you do lots of squats.
Yeah,
and
and then you do this thing where you're like in a plank, but you lift like one arm up in the air, and then another arm up in the air, and you just keep doing that, and that hurts.
And how long do you do this for, Rob? Because £8 within a week
I do that
surely is dangerous.
I think we ought to just tell the audience right now that it's £8 you said you lost, wasn't it? Yeah,
£8.15.
Actually inform us that earlier on today he was quite physically violently sick. We think that £6 of that was probably vomit.
After the session, I was sick after the session.
That was removed.
So. Yeah, and then after that, then it's what is it? Then it's a shoulder press followed by I've forgotten now.
Packet of Kit Kats.
No, not the Kit Kats. Kit Kats come at Christmas time. So
we positioned incidentally a packet of biscuits next to Rob.
Shit.
Oh, which is accidentally just knocked off. I'm watching you. Get your filthy little banana fingers off them.
I'm just looking at them.
Yeah.
Raoul.
Well, I have been intentionally turning around and eating my biscuits very
In a cat-like
slowly.
manner.
Seductively.
And they are good. Oh, I think they're actually golden chocolate, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, they are, yeah.
They are.
So they've got to be at least 50%.
But they're from
At least 50%.
They're from the Belmont Biscuit Company. They're Aldi biscuits.
Aldi's best.
Aldi's best.
Yeah. But the percentage is definitely
We
up
can't
there.
do product placement. Unless Aldi want to sponsor the show. Anyway, that's enough about what Rob's been doing. Rob's squatting and thrusting to lose £8.
And I haven't had a shit since Monday.
Oh my word. Well, that's another £9 waiting to go, isn't it?
Exactly.
Right.
Anyway.
I'll try not to eat while we're doing this, because eating never sounds great on a
It's not
podcast.
audible. Yeah. Right.
It is audible, but it just sounds terrible.
Okay.
Right. Rob, stop staring at the biscuits. You're only being cruel to yourself.
You just want to stop eating your biscuits, don't you?
No, I'm just reading.
He's not having any.
I'm reading nutritional facts on the back.
Oh.
It's kind of put me off them.
Oh, as if it is, you lying git. Right, what we're going to talk about first of all is film news. And the first thing I want to talk about is a film this was remastered. It's a British film. In fact, it was the first British science fiction film from 1913. Let me just check that myself. Let me just find the actual thing. I had it up on my screen. What the hell was that noise? Are you snorting the...
Rob is actually right now sniffing the box. He's sniffing the box. That's as close to chocolate biscuits you're going to get to for a while.
That is... What a weird noise.
It doesn't smell of anything. It smells of cardboard.
Well, I was hoping that I could get a whiff.
That's a quarter of a calories worth in that sniff. But it's called Message from Mars. This has been restored by BBC Arts and the British Film Institute. Obviously an absolute classic. Since this podcast is mainly about British kind of geeky stuff, how could I not mention this film? I've watched a bit of it. I've not watched all of it. It's an hour long. And I do think that while I like old classic films, they don't have to get any tits after a while, don't they? Particularly if there's no sound on them. It's like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you told the audience, but we do a little bit of working at a certain institution where we have to teach a little bit of media, don't we? We have to teach a few of these films, and I'm currently doing a unit about Hollywood and Hollywood in context. I have to talk about the history of that, and we've got a load of students, haven't we? We've got 20 odd in the class at the moment, Chinese and various other students, and I had to sit this afternoon and show them a little bit of Journey to the Moon. And I've got to say, I find it fascinating from a historic point of view, but they were quite clearly
Bored,
glazing over.
witless.
They were glazing over, and the old mobile phones came out again today, Steve. Picking them up. We're gonna have to have a blanket rule on that one.
Dash, don't eat the biscuits.
But yeah, they were glazing over. And then I put a very early American movie on. It was The Great Train Robbery, 1903. No sound, single shot cameras. They were bored.
It does you not. To be honest, and it's the same with when you have films. Have you tried watching black and white films? A lot of younger kids now will not watch a black and white film. In fact, I've had kids who've said to me they won't watch films that look old.
Why?
Because
it's boring.
It's boring.
They
Yeah.
associate it with it just being boring.
Are they stupid?
A lot of them are, yeah.
I don't think it's stupid. I think ignorant, massively ignorant. But you try and show younger students stuff, and they've just got no interest, have they? Well, when was it made? In fact, a kid the other day said to me he will not watch any film which was made before something like 1990. So he reckons everything before then was rubbish.
Yeah.
So just write off the whole of film history.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I guess all the way through history, films have tried to, and technology has sort of advanced, and they've tried to capture the audience of the viewer. And I was saying that today. I was looking at these early films where film had just been discovered, and they weren't sure what they were going to do with it, whether it was going to be used for, Muybridge capturing horses, and right at that very entrepreneurial stage, no one knew what was going to, where film was going to go and what it was going to be used for. And I was trying to explain this to the students today, and saying that, it was a very exciting time. Somebody who might go to a circus and see themselves on a screen because somebody had been to a city to record them and was trying to show them.
And most of it was spearheaded through porn.
Well, a lot of it was. A lot of stuff was, a lot of early film was porn, wasn't it? These
the internet,
Nickelodeons.
porn.
We're talking about
Notice
Nickelodeons.
how it's Raoul who points that one out.
It's always been there. That's the thing.
I'm thinking more about stuff like Gertie the dinosaur.
Oh, okay.
By Winsor McKay. When people would go and see that, it's an animation, and they would Gertie would pick some up and throw it away, and then Winsor McKay would walk on to the screen seemingly behind the sheet they were projecting it on, and there's a little animated version of it, and people were like, wow, it's a real dinosaur. The fact that could fool people then. And there's that famous video footage, isn't there, of the train coming into the station, and people dodged out the way of it when they were shown it. I just think we're kind of spoilt now. We're used to things looking, real.
The point I was trying to get to in a sort of, highfalutin roundabout.
This podcast is going to be a highbrow.
It's going to be a 2-hour one now we've got the Catman on. Hello,
I'm not
ladies
trying to
and
be
gentlemen.
verbose, but
We're having Paul's jazz section later on.
Oh shit! I hate jazz.
Most of it is wank. Do you like jazz? Rob likes jazz mags, but do you like jazz?
Jazz mags, aren't they? I don't mind some of it. No, it's all right. I mean, it depends, doesn't it? Depends what you're going for. There's lots of different subgenres within it.
But
Okay,
a lot of
that's
it,
what I know.
it's
Everyone
shit.
I know that likes jazz says, "Oh, well, jazz. There's lots of jazz. There's jazz you've not even heard of, or heard, or listened to."
There's jazz that no one's heard of, man. There's too many shit moustaches in jazz. That's what does it for me.
Yeah.
And crappy little beards. And men in stripy tops wearing blue shades, just being knobheads. And it's too French-looking jazzes to me. Do you not feel? There's something
French-looking?
inherently French-looking about jazz.
Have we got any French listeners?
I don't know.
Because
Well,
we haven't
if
now.
we did, we have anything French jazz.
There's a smooth slickness which hides a lot
That
of
smooth
rudeness and
slickness
arrogance.
is down Rob's leg, and that's how he's lost his 8 pounds.
Raoul,
Raoul, sorry, yeah.
That's why it's a bad idea to drink so much water, isn't it? And not
Gotta
eat enough.
got to eat 8 pints a day.
Gotta
Anyway.
eat 8 pints a
Drink
day.
8 pints a day.
Anyway, back to the actual point. So this film from 1913, Message to Mars, it's been done up. You can see it for free if you looked on Google and typed in first British sci-fi film, you'd find a link to the BBC, and there you can watch it if you want. There's been a new soundtrack put onto it by Matthew Herbert, and it stars, one of its main stars was a comedy legend at the time, Charles Hawtrey. And as soon as I heard that name, I thought, Charles Hawtrey was from the Carry On films, wasn't he? He had the little round glasses.
Was
He's
it
like,
him?
oh, it's not him though.
Oh, right. Oh, that's a shame.
No, it's not him. When I first heard it, there was a previous Charles Hawtrey who was an absolute British comedy, god. As
like
far as
Charlie Chaplin.
yeah, but obviously been forgotten until this film came about.
It's going off a slight tangent. I've got to say, I think I've refound and refallen in love with Carol movies. I love them. Absolutely love them. There were a couple, on over the Christmas holidays, and I just love them. I love them. I think they're a great part of British society. They are. And yes, they're full of smut and dirtiness, but they're good. They're funny. Aren't they?
Yeah.
Some bits are funny.
Oh, they're good.
I think a lot of it is almost in the like when you see Sid James and he's like rah, 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 rah. The fact that it's the repetition and you know he's going to do it. I think that's what I think is almost
parody of itself,
without going too highfalutin like you want to do. It's the postmodern nature of the fact that the jokes are
hang on, you just said highfalutin and used the word postmodern.
Well, I said that's why I said that without going to highfalutin.
So they become retro. They're going full roundhouse again, full house again.
Yeah, you can enjoy the fact because they are kind of trashy and all that. I like to carry on up the Kai, but I think Phil Silvers is amazing. You ever used to watch Sergeant Bilko?
Yeah.
I love Sergeant Bilko. There's a show that's black and white, and a lot of people probably wouldn't watch it, but it is. Rob, your face. Are you stabbing yourself in an artery with your mobile phone in an attempt to knock yourself out before you eat those biscuits?
Yeah.
You're not having those?
Yeah, take them off him.
Yeah. It looks a bit disgusted, doesn't it? Are you disgusted at what we're talking about?
No, I just want a biscuit. I'm not having one.
Tell you what,
£8, 8 days.
You can't have one, but I will have one for you.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Anyway, you can watch the entire film online if you want to see it. A piece of British sci-fi history. Go and watch it now. Now that brings me up to the date with some more modern films, and I'm going to keep this brief because I've got a lot to say about TV, particularly British upcoming TV shows, which I'm going to get your opinion on. But I want to speak first of all about some film news which does involve British actors. First of all, did you see the recent X-Men film?
No.
Which
No.
one? Which one was that?
X-Men Days of Future Past.
Oh, yeah.
Do you like it?
I
liked it. I think it's one of the best X-Men films they've done. Do you know what I've noticed from doing this as well, before you answer? I will often ask a question and then quickly answer the question before the other person's had a chance to answer it. I'm kind of answer poaching. So, what do you think, Rob?
What?
I really liked it, yeah. Anyway, no, what do you
I
think?
didn't think it was the best one.
Which is your favourite? But the problem with the X-Men films is a lot of them aren't very good. They're not great. They are not. I can't think of. I think X-Men.
Well, are you including the Wolverine films in this?
Yeah, they're okay. Even the recent Wolverine was okay. It ain't a great film. I think First Class was very good. They did.
Yeah.
And I think Days of Future Past was good. I enjoyed that as well. Okay, some news has come out over the weekend about the new X-Men film, X-Men Apocalypse. And apparently Captain Picard and Gandalf are not going to be in the film. They've so far there's no part for the minute. What do you feel about that? And obviously Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen. What do you reckon?
You can't. I don't think you can have an X-Men film without them. In a way,
particularly the intro, you need Captain Picard introducing it, don't you?
But they're kind of pivotal characters. They're kind of like the yin and the yang that hold the whole thing together. Without them, you've just got a load of people in fancy suits fighting each other, and who gives a crap?
But do you not think First Class, I'm pretty sure, I'll have to watch it again, you had Patrick Stewart narrating at the beginning when they were just talking about mutants. I'm sure First Class had his voice in it. I don't think he appeared in it, or was he in it?
He was. Well, he was in it at the bit where he collected up all the kids, and got them on the helicopter. And I'm getting confused with the Wolverine film, aren't I?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember who's in it, but I'm sure they used his voiceover, which they probably might do again. It'd be nice to have them in a little flashback. I quite like seeing those characters. But also on the back of that, there's another film. This is a DC film called Suicide Squad, which is also due to come out in 2016. Have you heard about the Suicide Squad?
I've heard of it, yes.
They're not a really well-known team, to be honest. It was a comic book when they took loads of minor villains. And do you remember the film The Dirty Dozen?
Mm.
It works on the premise of that, where they send them on these suicidal missions, and they send minor supervillains as part of a team to do good, just like the Dirty Dozen. And there's been lots of announcements recently about they're going to have the Joker in it, apparently, who may not be part of the team, might be a baddie. They're going to have Harley Quinn in it. But they were going to have, there's a character called Rick Flag who leads it, and he was going to be played by Bane from the Tom Hardy, from the recent Christopher Nolan Batman film. But they've got rid of him now, and now they're going to have Jake Gyllenhaal.
What?
See, Rick Flag, the character's going to be, there's been several Rick Flags in the comic books. I just think Tom Hardy, better actor than Jake Gyllenhaal.
But also, I think he's got the presence to be vicious.
Oh yeah, he looks like he's
he looks, yeah, exactly. Whereas Jake Gyllenhaal, I don't know, he just doesn't look tough enough.
Although he beefed up for Jarhead.
Jake Gyllenhaal in a fight.
If Jake Gyllenhaal listens to this, we should, for charity, make that happen. Although if you keep losing £8 a week, and say we get this fight to happen by the summertime, there'll be nothing of you left.
Well, the target, honestly, like originally in 3 weeks the aim was £10, but there's a good chance now that I'm going to hit 16. That's a stone and a half almost.
That's a lot. Do you think is there not a danger that you could injure yourself losing? I don't want to make this whole show about Rob's weight loss tips. Is there not a danger you could injure yourself? Weight loss tips. Is there not a danger you could actually injure yourself?
Well, yeah, but he who dares wins.
I speak as it because I'll have edited it out, but because I got a phone call a second ago from my dad asking how I was, and the reason why is because I've been to the hospital today. It's not been the greatest day.
I
yes.
didn't know that. What happened?
Well, a long while ago during the summer. I don't think the people will like to know. I'm not going to go into all the details.
Oh, is this when you split your ring doing...
I never split my ring. I cut the inside of it doing some intense HIIT exercises. It was like an hour's worth you do at a time.
Anal fissures?
Yeah, like an anal fissure. Not like your kind of pile-style grapes that you have, which Emma was telling me about. She said your anus is like a vineyard sometimes.
Who said that?
This is what your girlfriend said when she has to use a biro to poke them back in again. And apparently 2014 was a vintage year. But anyway, a while back I went to this hospital, one quite far away, not here.
Grantham.
Grantham, yeah. I want to name it, because if I'm going to mention particular things that were said today, so I might bleep that out, or I might just keep it in. Anyway, I had to go there today. You know where, obviously.
Well, yeah, because that's where you go to get your... Anyway, yeah, carry on.
Have you had your grapes lanced?
They weren't grapes. I had a similar thing to you once upon a time.
That's not what I heard.
Huh?
I heard it was vicious anal grapes. That's what the story on the street is.
I'm just amazed that Rob's girlfriend actually, gives you
this
this
is
information.
She told me that sometimes she'll come round and he'll be on his hands and knees, just screaming, and then she will have to put on a rubber glove and then lube a hand up and slowly pop them one at a time back
Pop
in.
them. Is that what you do with...
No, she doesn't squeeze them between her thumbs or get two spoons. She just pushes them back in. That's what she said.
If ever this is an advert for making sure that you eat a lot more fibre and roughage in your diet,
and broccoli,
then this is it.
Drink more water. That's what they say. Anyway, I went again today because they wanted to check. They wanted to check me out because they had a look at it and they went, "It's a beauty." And I went today and there's a woman there and she was chatting away to me, and she invited some other nurse in, and I thought, and eventually there's quite a few people in the room. And I thought, I don't really want to drop trow in front of a room full of strangers. So
they're med students.
And they weren't med students. It just seemed that... I reckon that they're having a bit of a... It seemed quite busy. I think it had slowed down considerably. Yeah. I think they'd had a lot of staff on, and they thought, there's not much to do. Let's watch this. Let's look at his arse. So this nurse, this young trainee doctor girl's chatting to me, and she goes off and she says, I'll go and get my supervisor. She comes back in with some Indian chap, and he says, I want to have a quick squiz under the bonnet, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So he's...
was he Indian dude?
Yes.
Short?
No.
Big Indian dude?
No, it was just normal size.
Well, no,
I had a quick look at his fingers, because that's what I always... If ever there's a danger of another man entering me with his fingers, digitising me, I like to make sure, because... You've got big fingers, Rob. You'd be a nightmare if you were messing around in that whole area.
Well, there's two doctors.
How Emma puts up with it, I just don't know.
So anyway, he came in and he
Beat
said,
that
"Can
out.
I-"
Anyway, he
Did he put a glove on?
no,
No glove?
no, he
Did he
just
check his nails?
he trimmed his nails.
Oh dear.
Cleaned them first.
No, I think I think he'd have put a glove on. I fucking hope he'd put a glove on.
You
Anyway, he's
It's difficult to look
he's
at
having
the
he's having a
police,
good
isn't it?
look. He puts his miner's helmet on. He's having a route around, and he says everything looks tip top. And then he says, I'm just gonna put an instrument in. And so he's rooting around, and it was rather uncomfortable. I said to him, I says, is it a pissing violin? They went, oh no, nearly finished. And as I was there, I looked over my shoulder, and the nurse had changed. A different nurse had come in. And I went, oh hello. And you got to imagine I'm curled up in a fetal position, being brutally groped by a man from the Indian subcontinent. And I went, oh hello, I've not seen you. She went, oh hello, I'm Kirsty. And I went, and I think, do I lean over and try and shake her hand? And she says to me, oh, just try and relax. I was like, it is quite difficult. I'm not used to this. She goes, what I try to do is relax your teeth first. I was like, there's nothing wrong with my mouth. So it finished all off. So I hop off, and
isn't it?
I'm doing that, and he says, you don't need to come back anymore. And I went, fair enough. And
I'm not coming
I
back
always
anyway.
do. I always get to shake hands, and then I was like, no thanks.
I think I know the doctor you mean. I had him as well.
How would you know from that?
Well, there's only two of them. Two
Is there?
Indian doctors down there that do stuff with down there.
There's
It does make me
a woman
wonder.
as well, though.
It does make me wonder.
Yeah, but I
people
didn't,
that
I
work,
didn't have the woman. I had the bloke.
people that work in this sort of industry, you know, you sort of gynecologists and people have to do these sort of things. I don't know how they have a normal relationship with their partner.
Just don't sniff your fingers. I bet his wife does all the cooking, don't you?
Genuinely, I'm being serious. I don't know how they maintain a normal relationship with people because you must be subjected to the most horrendous things on a regular basis.
They were. They were.
You made sure. If you're going to make me look so undignified, I'm going to make sure that I am undignified. I went to go and have because I had an acid reflux problem for a while. And I had to go to the hospital, and they booked me in to have what do they call it? No, they stick a tube down your throat. What's it called?
Colonoscopy?
No, that's up your
that's
arse.
the other way. Something oscopy. I forget what it was now. But anyway, they put this. She said, "Now, would you like to stay in and we'll give you a general anaesthetic, or do you want to go for the local?" And I've always had an inherent fear of general anaesthetics. I thought, I'm not going to do that because I have to stay in all afternoon. I'll probably sleep for the night. And I said, no, just give me the anaesthetic spray. I'll have that. I'll do that. What a mistake that was. It's probably the most single worst experience I've ever had in my entire life.
And you went to public school.
Hey?
Yeah.
And you went to public school.
Having tubes forced down your throat is something that would have happened on a daily basis.
Well, yeah, as you say, that was a different experience. That was down south, wasn't it? Land's End and all that.
They went down south as well as up north. You poor man.
Well, I wonder if that was the other thing that crossed my mind. Do they use these tubes for, because obviously there's NHS cutbacks, are they used for, south and north?
I thought
or do they have to just, bleach them a
I
little
thought
bit?
you
Put a
got
In the
household bleach
afternoon,
on
they
it?
Did you
switch
go
round.
booper?
Huh?
Do you like go
I
booper?
bloody well wanted to. I nearly did booper.
Put it on the company estate.
No, but I was. It was horrible because you've got a nurse who's saying you're doing really well, and all the time you're just retching. Your entire body is in spasm. You think this is not good. I look like a complete idiot.
This is the most horrific show
Eh?
so far, isn't it?
Did they
Yeah, it was
find?
good,
You
though.
got to tell the viewers, all two of them. Did they find anything?
No, I was fine.
So you don't think all that for nothing?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I think it's worth it rather than not going through it. And then there's something in you that's growing and kills you.
Yeah.
I think so. I always say, and this was a podcast
Better to be
that
safe.
this is a podcast that does it for me. Stone Cold Steve Austin, the wrestling legend, on his podcast he regularly talks about how every year he'll go and have a colonoscopy, and he's seen too many dudes, too many brothers die because they've not had simple checks. And he says, yeah, it doesn't feel great, but it's, is it more manly to not have it done and then die prematurely, leaving your family with no one to look after them? Or is it, or to just go and have it sorted out one moment in time?
But you see, another good reason why a red meat diet, because those guys are all on big red meat diets, aren't they? They maintain that big muscle mass.
They can lose up to 8 pounds in a week.
Can they?
But I've only had steak once.
Well, that's a couple of steaks, isn't it?
It's mostly chicken and mackerel that I eat. Just sharing that
together.
Well, one day it was just mackerel for 6 meals.
Anyway,
I ran out of chicken.
should we get back on with geeky stuff?
I'm enjoying this.
Right, now I want to talk about TV because there's some cracking shows and we haven't even got enough time to cover them all this week, so we'll do some more next week. But before I get on to the British shows that are coming up, I want to talk about a show that me and my fair lady over there have been watching. It's a Canadian show, but BBC America have been working with and making it, and it's flipping amazing. It's called Orphan Black. Have you seen Orphan Black?
Oh, yeah. Raoul's, that's me. Raoul's girlfriend loves that. Yeah.
Have you watched any of it?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
It's bloody brilliant. I've got a problem with it though, and the problem with it is this, that often I'll find a show that's been on for maybe 2 or 3 seasons, and then you start watching it, you really like it, and then you watch all the episodes of it, and then you get to the point where you've watched everything that's currently been made, and then you are forced to watch one episode after another, having to wait a week, like all the other mugs.
Well,
when's I
the
can't
next
bear it.
Season
3 starts soon.
Yeah, because there's been 2, haven't there?
Yeah.
April, I think.
Yeah, April.
Well, if it's on season 3, I imagine there have been 2 already.
Well, you know what I mean. I've seen.
That's counting. Numeracy. That's what eating will do for you. I just want to speak up because it is a really, really good show, and if you've not seen it, I would suggest checking it out.
I've been watching Misfits recently.
What was the actress's name?
Tatiana Maslany. She is amazing.
Yeah, well, there was I read an interview with her. They've got a stand-in actress who effectively, whenever she's playing one of her selves, or whatever word.
It's about cloning. The whole thing is.
Yeah. So she's basically
she plays about 3 or 4 different characters depending on what's going on,
and more and more and more, and there can be 4 or 5 of them in a scene at any one time. Really complex stuff, but there's an actress who stands in for her to play the role opposite her, and you never see her. But
that'd be terrible, wouldn't it? I'm in a TV show, but they always edit me out.
Yeah, she's just constantly edited out. This poor, she's done all this work, and
I would say that the reason it's so good. Obviously, I like the storyline, but her as an actress is amazing.
Oh, she's completely convincing.
The fact she changes her hair, and she might wear some props and all that, but each of the characters she plays are very, very different. Mm-hmm. For example, I thought to begin with I'd hate the soccer mum character, but she's probably the funniest one in it.
Yeah,
but she's
mental, isn't she?
She's a drunkard. She's amazing. She's a nutter. Some of the stuff she does.
She's just able to sort of fit those different roles.
Yeah, she's a very, very good actress, and it's a very good show.
Daniel Day-Lewis of the female world, is she?
Canadian female Daniel Day-Lewis. She's very, very good. And also, her stepbrother in it, played by the actor Jordan Gavaris. He's this gay guy. And I thought on the first episode it'd be a bit annoying, but he's very funny. Some of the stuff he gets up to.
Yeah.
It seems to be in male thongs quite a lot, or chaps. There's often scenes where he'll be talking, he'll turn around and he's got something on, but it's just really, really good. I'm really enjoying that. So if anyone's not watched that, they should go and watch that.
I have been watching Misfits. Got to that. Yeah, that's good. That's definitely. Have you watched that at all?
I saw a couple of episodes, but missed loads, so didn't get around to it.
All available for free now online, aren't they?
It's it's
on Netflix.
You can watch it. You can watch it. They're all on Netflix at the moment. You see, I thought I was going to hate that because it's just got lots of Hasbro characters, and what would do being a posh person?
I bet you hated that, didn't you?
I really relate.
I could buy all of these people.
You love to hate them. You love to hate them. They're good. Good characters. The Irish guy is really good.
There's some really good actors in it. I've only watched a few little bits of Misfits, but
yeah, I think you'd get into it, Steve.
I'm sure Channel 4 has done some consistently good programming.
It's hilarious. The Irish guy, his sense of humour is right up your Ronson.
Right up my alley.
Yeah, it is, so to speak.
Lots of things have been up my alley today.
It's a perfect pun for the day, really, isn't it?
Dr. Patel being one of them.
With his instrument.
And his 17 different assistants.
With his orchestra.
It's when you hear him go, can you just hold that a minute? And you're like, what?
Dr. Patel and his orchestra of nurses. Love it.
Did any of you watch on BBC Two a TV show a while back called In the Flesh? It was about zombies. There'd been an outbreak of the undead. And
I didn't like it that much.
I really liked In the Flesh.
I like I like the first season or series. Then the second one came along. I've just found it a bit not same old really.
The first series was brilliant. The second series was good, but they're not going to make a third series of that.
Why not?
The reason why is funding. It's been very successful. It is all down to funding. BBC Three have said that they can only afford to make one kind of new drama type thing now a year, which is shocking, isn't it? Considering that that's what their remit is to make new exciting stuff.
The argument is, I mean, that then needs to have probably some Indiegogo funding or something, because I remember seeing the second season and thinking not really liking it now. To be honest, I got a bit bored with it and I was sort of turning it off. But they didn't really complete. You know, it's almost like you need to have another season made just so they can wrap it up, just to complete it, because you have tons and tons of fans now, and that's it. It's like. Yeah, they need to finish it
Go
off
out
somehow.
on top. Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, I've watched a lot of The Walking Dead, and don't get me wrong, I loved it, but I've just not watched the rest of it.
Are you going to criticise The Walking Dead?
No, not at all.
In our house?
No, I like it.
Listen, Lord Fauntleroy, don't you dare come in here.
I'm here as a lover of The Walking Dead. You know that.
It's amazing, and it just gets
but where's
better.
Where's it going to go?
Does it need to necessarily go in? The comic books haven't finished. They're going to keep going.
And how many zombies can actually keep, just reappearing?
They're zombies, aren't they?
They can be.
Yeah, but it can be an infinite number. That's the point.
Say over half.
Because once you're all zombies, then what happens? They're all looking for meat. Do they eat one another?
I think they get thinner a lot, but they do.
They get thinner a lot. Some of them got their entrails hanging out.
Have you not seen some ones who've kind of like melted into the cement? And you won't have seen the recent series.
I got up to end of series 3.
Oh, you've got to keep watching it. It's so good.
Go back and find it.
Going back to In the Flesh, could another network? I mean, is it a BBC original? In the Flesh.
This is what I was thinking. Why don't BBC Three, if they can't afford to make new ones, do that and sell them on? Not to make a massive profit, but to make a profit to
But
other.
the thing is, if it's been that successful, and I dare say it's probably been very, very successful in the States as well, because a lot of our stuff is doing really well out there. They could get the funding. They could do it in a joint partnership with some other production house somewhere.
If they've got the audience, then they should be able to get. They should be making money off of it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Just stick on ITV.
Off of merchandise alone.
Another good thing about In the Flesh was it starred as one of the other characters, an actor. Do you know Emmett J. Scanlon? Have you ever heard of Emmett J. Scanlon? Yeah. He was. Before we started recording this, we were watching one of Lisa's terrible shows, Hollyoaks. He was in Hollyoaks as Brendan Brady, who was the very kind of vicious homosexual gangster. Best character in it.
A homosexual gangster?
Oh, he was amazing. He was a brilliant character. He would do this thing where he'd be like, Stevie! And then he wasn't Scottish, incidentally. He was Irish, wasn't he? Yeah. But he would rub. He had a big kind of moustache, like one member of the, what they called, the village people. And he would rub the side of his moustache by his mouth. And it was like, when he was thinking of something evil, like, very good. He's been in lots of different things recently. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy in a bit part.
Oh, right, yeah.
When I say a bit part, it's a bit part. When they walk into the prison kind of space station thing, he is at the front leading them through as one of the guards. He was in an episode of Constantine, the TV series, recently as a cop. And he was also in The Flesh. And I know he came from Hollyoaks, which we all agreed is shite, but he is a genuinely... Again, this is a conversation which the people on there aren't party to, but my girlfriend was saying, Steve watches it. I used to watch it when he was on it because he is a genuinely good actor to watch, because he's just nutter. He would beat the crap out of someone and then try and make love to them at the same time. And that is the kind of acting I want.
That's the sort of extremis we want.
If they'd have kept... Have you seen Still Open All Hours?
Yes.
If they'd had a bit more of that, if Granville would have... Said there's a shoplifter, Granville would have, first of all, caught him, beat him up, and then made passionate love to him while stuttering and slapping him with a cloth. That would have made that a good show, because we all know that, although we're not really talking about just comedy, Still Open All Hours is a bit crap because Ronnie Barker's not in it. Yeah. No, dissing David Jason.
Yeah, it doesn't work as well because Ronnie Barker was a genius.
He led the show, didn't he?
Yeah. It was his show. You associate it clearly with him.
Yeah.
Right, what I want to talk about then is some new shows that are coming out. One of them is Jekyll and Hyde. It's going to be made by Charlie Higson from The Fast Show. It's going to be a 10-part series coming out in the autumn of this year. And it's going to be set in the 1930s. And it's I'm guessing, the great-great-grandson of the original Dr. Jekyll. And it's going to involve him. And it sounds a bit Hulkish in some respects, in that he can turn into Mr. Hyde, who's this kind of super powerful nut job. But it's going to involve ghouls, zombies, werewolves, and lots of action-adventure series.
Can he turn into Hyde at will, or...?
I've got a feeling it's when his emotions kind of get the better of him. That's what I'm thinking.
Right.
But it could be quite interesting, but it could suffer from what the Hulk suffered from, in that the Hulk films on their own have tended to be a bit crap, haven't they?
Well, it's just because of the difficulty is with those kind of characters, they're just angry, so they're going to have to really play off the human side of it to get a wider range of emotions. Otherwise, you end up with just this big angry.
Yeah, well, you need sort of stories as to, or deep set stories as to why that
everything is deep, isn't it?
It's got to be deep. It gives a lot more flesh to it, doesn't it? If you don't know why that character's
Paul's grandfather's moustache met Obi-Wan Kenobi. Is that not true? He did, didn't he?
Bloody truth, yeah. The video is available on YouTube if you want to see it, but I think it's a German version.
What's the name of the film?
It's called Little Lord Fauntleroy. It's the 1980 movie, and it's got an.
You were in this, weren't you? You played Little Lord Fauntleroy.
I wasn't in it though. No, my granddad was though.
His moustache, mainly. He got hired by was it by Obi-Wan Kenobi?
No, but he maintains that they became quite good friends because Alec Guinness had been in the Air Force during the war. My granddad was in the Air Force during the war, so
he knew it from the moustache.
You can just spot an Air Force.
There was bits of Nazi fighter plane, like a Stuka dive bomber wing stuck in his moustache.
Did you know the reason how Alec Guinness got his knighthood? Everyone thinks it's from acting. It wasn't from acting at all.
It's from beating the Nazis.
No, he was.
He was a pilot.
He was a pilot, but he was also stationed in some like deserty. I've forgotten exactly where.
Tatooine.
North Africa. It was bloody North Africa. That's where they filmed it.
There was all this stuff kicking off, and he basically used his powers of diplomacy.
His Jedi powers.
Not his Jedi powers.
These are not the droids you're looking for.
Yeah.
The Nazis you're looking for.
He used his diplomatic powers to prevent this thing from kicking off, thus saving.
What, the war? Well, he failed on that one, didn't he?
It was like some kind of battle, and he basically just managed to calm it down. And
I can just imagine that walking in. Come on, chats. You don't have to get all kind of huffy with each other.
Well, this is true. This is why he got his knighthood. He stopped a big fight from kicking out, in which there would have been hundreds of dead.
Are you telling me that he went into the middle of the North African desert during the battles of 1942 and said, "Look, Rommel, look, Monty,
well, no,
we can sort this out over a
game
of cards."
It was after World War II, but
was it?
but
Okay.
but essentially, that was basically it. He basically got them to calm down and not kill each other.
So he was just chilling.
Are you not getting confused? I think you're getting confused from a very famous movie with, I forget his name now.
Peter O'Toole, Lawrence of
Arabia.
Arabia.
Lawrence of Arabia.
No.
Did you say Lawrence of Arabia? Again, that must be a different film, Rob, in your collection, you pervert.
Tongue twister.
Raoul.
So, Lise, on your laptop. Oh, you're not. I know you're not. You don't have to say anything. It's all right. But can you Google Alec Guinness knighthood? Do a search because I need to fact check this.
We will.
I'm sure I'm right.
You know, I will. I'm sure he could have got one for doing something like that.
It wasn't for acting though. It was basically.
Why did he not get one for acting? Since he was a good actor.
I love him as an actor, British actor. All those Ealing comedies. He was great. Man in the White Suit, etc.
Talking about the war, another series that's going to be starting next year is SSGB, and this is based on a series of books, and it's about a fictional future, well, a fictional present, where the Nazis won World War II, and they basically took over England, and it's about a detective.
United Kingdom.
Yeah, United Kingdom, yeah. Well, it's England, really, isn't it?
Rutger Hauer was in a movie about that.
Fatherland, that was called.
Alternative.
But that was set in Germany, where he discovers about the concentration camps.
Yeah.
Although I've read the plot for this book. I don't know whether the TV show will follow it exactly. Very similar-ish end, if you know the end of Fatherland.
Yeah.
But in this, basically, the King of England is in the Tower of London. The Nazis have took over, and there's a detective. Because basically, they've kept a lot of the same structure, which is what they probably would have done if they took over. They'd have kept a lot of the institutions the way they were, but put their own people in control.
Yeah.
So he's a detective who works underneath the SS, and he's investigating these murders, and obviously gets caught between the SS and the I've forgotten the word for them. The
Gestapo?
No, not what are they called? The ones who fight against them. The Resistance. Yeah, he's caught in between them, and there's a plot to try and get the king in the book, get the king out of England into America.
What
sounds
will that do?
That sounds interesting. I'd like to watch that. Incidentally, the last execution in the Tower of London actually happened during the Second World War. They captured they captured all they infiltrated all the German spies, and they captured some German spies, put them in the Tower of London, and shot them in 1941.
Wow,
which is quite late, really, considering.
Yeah,
the last execution. Anyway,
I was watching a program the other day about how they were. It was the lead up to, again, this isn't geeky at all. The lead up to the Holocaust, and about how the thought process of the Nazis, and about how the final solution they kind of came to that. It had been mentioned before, but they, and it was really interesting, but really scary. This is one of the things that I always think about: why the Nazis particularly make good film baddies. It's not
evil.
It's not because they're just completely evil. It's because they were people who were very similar to us, who did all those things. I think the German people going about, the Germans, they turned into the Nazis. Obviously, not all Germans were Nazis. A lot of them fought against them, but the fact that they were educated, they were smart. Some of the leaders who were leading these people driving the Jews out and killing them, they're all doctors. They're all educated men, and I think that's one of the scary things about the Nazis is that they were smart, well educated.
But it's a case also of options, isn't it? I suppose that they've got this terrible autocracy, bearing down on them, and it's a system which has got some pretty horrendous characters at the top of it. And in order to administrate this, and they have very, very sort of they put people in power and positions of authority, and people who are in charge of areas of the secret police who are horrible individuals. And they weren't very nice people. They weren't very nice people at all. Yeah. And so I guess a lot of people were thinking, well, this is the reality. These are the structures that are in place.
Well, there's just a lot of...
I say that isn't the voice of my girlfriend.
The options is, what can I do? What can I do? I'm in this system. Do I want to survive?
And there was grassroots indoctrination. So you were told from birth that you are the master race, Aryans are this, Aryans are that, etc.
Well, and the fact that you've got you've been treated pretty shittily at the end of the First World War.
Oh yeah. That created the
Treaty of Versailles, really.
That created the vacuum in which the storm could develop.
Yeah, they were absolutely made to pay, weren't they? And there was terrible sort of hyperinflation and political issues during the 1920s that caused the
poverty. That's one of the worries about when they had all this financial bubble, particularly in Greece. This is nothing to do with geeky stuff, but you see the Golden Dawn and all that. When I heard about the Golden Dawn, because the Golden Dawn, I don't know if you realise, was the name of the group that Aleister Crowley, the famous kind of Satanist, the beast, belonged to. So when I heard that the Golden Dawn were taking control in Greece,
you thought Crowley
it's some kind of black magic kind of circle.
But this is what happens, isn't it? Wherever there's extreme poverty, or there's a failure in the system of the previous government, or people, everyday people who are decent, law-abiding, put their money in the bank, and they have everything taken away from them through corruption or through mismanagement or whatever, become cynical, but are also very angry. And you look to somebody else who says, I can sort this out, I can pave the way, I'll bring these people to
That is true. Well, if you look at, for example...
And that's what Hitler did, he filled that void.
How did the Bolsheviks end up taking over Russia? And it was because, obviously, they had the two different September Revolution and all that, but it was because You have a group that gets thrown out of power, another group which tends to be a coalition of some sort, which is most of your political groups, come in, they take over, things get worse, and then the only person left is an outsider group, like the Bolsheviks, or some kind of fascist group, and then or the Nazis, and then suddenly they take over. Yeah. And then before you know it, you've gone down the street of either fascism or kind of extreme communism.
It's like looking at Tsar Nicholas, isn't it? And who ended up, running Russia during the Second World War? Bloody Stalin, who was worse? Was the Tsar actually worse than Stalin? I don't know. You probably draw parallels, but
still, they all want to live in the big house, don't they?
They do, don't they?
So that's anyway.
I have to go soon, anyway.
That will almost finished. The point is, though, that was SSGB. We went a little bit off track there.
And it's prompted all this brilliant debate. And I bet you there's loads of stuff like that in it.
I hope so. I think it'll look good. Yeah. But the other thing I want to talk about is, I think what we're going to do is we're going to limit our... We'll have done... I'll do 2 more TV shows, then we'll do the comic book, and then I'll do the conventions. Right. So the next one is the Frankenstein Chronicles. This is going to be a 6-part series starring Sean Bean as Detective John Marlett.
Sean Bean.
And I've read the beginning of this story. It sounds quite cool. This is set in the... I'm pretty sure this is 19th century, so it's going to have like a period feel to it. And it's... supposedly, it's going to have... Robert Peel set up Scotland Yard and all that stuff. Yeah. And the Bow Street Runners and all that. He's in it, and this baby, a corpse of a baby, washes up. They go and get it, and they realise it's not a baby. It's bits of a human that have been stitched together to look, dead adults and look like a baby. And then they start investigating it. And as Sean Bean's detective character looks into what's gone on, starts investigating these seedy areas, Frankenstein's monster is in it, and it's the foe. But there's going to be lots of other things going on with it. Some kind of human Victorian experimentation and a detective story. I think it sounds amazing.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I think it sounds exciting. Yeah. I know people, as soon as they hear that, will go, "Oh, well, if Sean Bean's going to die in it." But for me, Sean Bean doesn't die in everything because I'm a big fan of Sharp.
Yeah, and he's
Richard Sharp. He survived shitloads of adventures.
Yeah.
And he's a badass. The only time he came close to death, they wrapped him up, put him in a river, a freezing river. They said it'll either kill or cure him. It cured him, and he won the flipping battle.
And the girlfriends he had, different every campaign he went to.
And as you all know, your famous catchphrase comes from Sharp about when you were a single man, when you used to come up to me and go, "We've got to go out and get me scratchings. David, you've got to have his scratchings." You used to love it, didn't you? So that one's coming up, and I'll quickly do the next one. And this next one might interest you, Paul, because this is based on a famous Swedish science fiction TV show called Ankta Maniskor, or Real Humans. It's going to be called Humans in this country. And what it is about a future-present kind of, where they have these humanoid robots that families can buy. And the story follows some families who've got these and the kind of emotional effect it has on them. But also groups of these robots who've tried to escape, and some of them become sentient because the guy who invents the robots starts reprogramming them. And so the story, if it's like the Swedish one, the British one, there'll be a few episodes that follows a family with them, then another couple of episodes that follows these robots, who then learn to kind of, some of them kill humans, which are supposed to.
Sounds like Chappie.
A little bit, yeah. And as you know, in previous episodes, I've said I'm looking forward to that. And they have rules. They have in the Swedish one, they call them the Asimovs, which are obviously a mention of Isaac Asimov and his laws of robotics and all that. But the idea that there's certain things that robots can't do, and I'm sure that in the series it'll deal with how these robots break this code, and some of them do kill to keep themselves alive. And there's a big in the story as well. There's a police unit which, if you modify these robots, you get arrested for it. Because obviously people are modifying them and making them more sentient. And it seems, if you read up about the Swedish one, it sounds really interesting. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Coming out with some good series, the Scandies, aren't they?
Well, there's like Wallander and all that.
Wallander, and that's it, isn't it?
Yeah,
actually, they've got one good series. Yeah. Also, get on the Dragon Tattoo and all that lot. They came from Scandinavia, didn't they? Originally, the original Swedish TV program.
Are you leaving us now?
I'm
then?
Gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go. Yeah.
Oh, ladies and gents, he didn't even make it through one whole episode.
But it's been lovely.
Let's put our hands together to little Lord Catface Fauntleroy.
Yeah.
You have to pop in again sometime.
YouTube, 1980. It's got Ricky Schroeder in it. Alec Guinness and Ricky Schroeder. Can't miss it.
And your grandfather's moustache.
It's got a great part where he stops and sort of frowns at the camera like this.
And wiggles his moustache.
I want one like that when I get older. I'd like to do it again.
Well, you'll be welcome back. So, ladies and gents, there he goes. The poshest man in Lincoln.
Finesse.
Je ne sais quoi.
Je ne sais quoi, yeah.
See you, Rob.
See ya. Raoul. Raoul.
Cheers, dude.
Oh, well, there we go. So he's cleared off. So that is the TV section we spoke about. Now we're going to get on to the comic book section. Now, normally for the comic book section, I will have read and know the comic book quite well, or the web comic. I've not really read this comic book other than little bits. I've read little bits and pieces because at a comic book convention, I bought a little kind of tester comic, which was half of one comic story on one side and half another on the other. But that's what I want to talk about, and it's called The Pride. It's by Joe Glass. Again, British comic book. And the interesting thing about this is that it focuses on a lesbian, gay and transgender superhero team, which I think is a really good idea, and let me explain to you why. Think about the famous superhero teams throughout history. The X-Men would probably be the most famous, wouldn't it? And you've got the Avengers as well.
Yeah.
X-Men first kind of printed in 1963. You've got the civil rights movement, this idea of these kind of outsiders who want their own rights and want to be respected. So the X-Men kind of, for me, mirrors the civil rights kind of movement in America. You know, these different people who were feared and looked at, and that goes on. I think that The Pride is a good idea because, and I spoke about this before the show started, about in countries like Russia, where they've reclassified disabilities and how, and I mean, let me rephrase that. They've reclassified who can drive, and they've said anyone with a disability cannot drive. So, if you're very short, you cannot drive. If you're, disabled, you can't drive. But they've classed being transgender and homosexual as a disability, so they class it as a mental disability.
Well,
and so gay people cannot drive.
The Russians are just honestly, they're just, they're crazy. All of Russia is just a basket case state.
Their economy's apparently going right on the swanny as well.
I mean, it's worth less than a Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, think about this as well, because of all that. I think we're going off on a track again. Price of oil is dropping, isn't it? Because you've got the fracking stuff in America. That is going to affect, if we can find something other than gas and oil, what are Russia going to do then? They rely on those pipelines running through the gas pipelines.
Yeah, and they keep threatening to turn it off every time they can't get their own way. Oh, we'll just turn it off. Well, tough,
But anyway, back onto The Pride. The little mini comic I read, which I really liked it was really good. I liked the idea, the fact that there aren't that many gay superheroes, particularly when there have been them, they've always been in the background. I can think of North Star, who was part of this Alpha Flight, which was a Canadian superhero team. They had one gay character.
What about Wolverine's legitimate son? I've forgotten his name.
Yeah, I think on about it. But yeah, again, the fact we don't even remember his name, and the fact that they're kind of pushed to the side, they've always been very token, I think.
Yes.
So the idea to have a whole kind of that's a combination of lesbian and gay, lesbian, transgender team. I think it's a cool idea, and the comic looks really good. I like the drawing style in it. It's the good thing is, because as you can look through the little book I've got, this was from a few years ago. I got this at probably Birmingham Comic Book Convention, where I got most of my stuff lately. They've got some different artists actually drawing it inside, and I love that when you look through a comic book, it's not just one art style. But I like the idea, and like I said, I've not read a whole lot more. And you can get this now. It's from early last year. Joe Glass, the writer of it, managed to get it onto Comixology. So you can download this if you want to read The Pride. I would read more. But what I hope is, if they've not already done it, they've got to do The Pride in Russia. Would that not be... I think, since this is very much based on the society now, the idea that they would have it where they go to Russia, or maybe fight a Putin-style superhero, that would be brilliant. They need to do that if they've not already done it. I think that'd be amazing.
Well, Putin's a bit like camp anyway, isn't he?
Well, all this kind of the fact that he would
whip your chest out, you know.
He's fishing, bare-chested fishing with his there is something. I know this is what you always like to accuse people of. Something very homoerotic about Vladimir Putin.
You know, we're going to have former KGB agents at the door now wanting to gut us.
Well, they don't know where we live. Oh,
True.
they don't even know your real name, Raoul.
Raoul.
So you'll be okay. But yeah, I would definitely. The reason I decided to do the Pride, other than I've only read a little bit of it, is I just think I'm proud that it's a British comic book trying to do something like that, and it seems to be getting big. The fact it's on Comixology now and you can get it. I'd definitely read a few more. The main guy, their equivalent to Superman, is called Fabman, and there's a picture of him and he wears all pink. And when he flies, he's like a rainbow behind him. And when I first saw that, I remember when I bought this at the convention, I thought, that is the most cheesy... There's a picture of a bear in what looks like a bondage harness as well. And I like that, because I first of all looked at it and I thought, is this someone taking the Michael? But actually, I like the fact that it doesn't fully take itself seriously, although the message is quite a serious one. I think a bear in a bondage harness is amazingly. But Fabman... his character is tired in the storyline of he's been represented as a bit of an idiot, as a joke, and so they've kind of took it really far with the look of him, this kind of pink Superman style. But I quite like it. The little story I've read is about a boy who's going to commit suicide, and so the Fab Man turns up and just talks him down and tells him about himself. And it looks really nice. It's a good little book, so I would definitely probably try reading some more of that. It's good. Good stuff. So that is The Pride. If you go on the internet and just Google The Pride comic book, you'll find it. It's written by Joe Glass, and you can follow Joe Glass on Twitter. I was actually suggested I did that by a friend of the show.
We have a friend of the show?
Well, I've decided he's a friend of the show. Dan Butcher.
What, the Dan Butcher?
The Dan Butcher, yeah.
Who we mentioned
in every episode so far. That's the thing, we've got to mention him every episode. He actually said to me, because we spoke, and he said you should check out he sent me a list of about 3 different comic books, and I saw The Pride, and I thought, well, I've read a tiny bit of that, so I definitely would. So I would suggest any of you UK comic book fans, check out The Pride. It's great, and Joe Glass, if you ever hear this, please do a Pride in Russia. That would be amazing. Some kind of Russian superhero. You can imagine it's some kind of hyper straight kind of who actually turns out then to be homosexual, or maybe he's a big, strong, superpowered homosexual guy who the Russian government brainwashes to hate himself and sends him to destroy the Pride. I've already worked out the flipping story for them. That would be it. That would be really good. I just love that idea. This giant, kick him in the Bolsheviks.
Self-loathing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think it could be really. I got this since you said in our first episode that Dolph Lundgren's He-Man was homoerotic. A kind of Dolph Lundgren giant kind of character. Now, the other thing I like about The Pride, and this is about the portrayal of gay people in particular. This is my one issue with gay people, not people, but the portrayal of them.
Here we go.
No, this is
the portrayal of
the portrayal of them. I don't like. And this is what I think puts a lot of people off gay people, and I think it's the media portrayal of them as being weak. I think there is, and this is going to go quite deep. I think there's something inherent in humans that a lot of us do not like weakness. There's something within us, whether it's our tribal past that the weak members of the tribe will hold you back.
I reckon Boy George would win a fight with pretty much anyone.
Well, this is it. This is the point. This is what I'm going to get to in a minute. I think the way that homosexuals are often portrayed, particularly men I'm talking about now, women, lesbians are often portrayed as quite tough, aren't they? They have the idea of this whole bull dyke thing, like, oh, she's tough, or your lipstick lesbian, this kind of good-looking one. Gay men are often portrayed as weak, and I think that isn't actually truthful. And I'm going to give you some historical examples in a few moments.
Alexander the Great,
the sacred band of Thebes, who actually Alexander the Great defeated. They were this elite unit of soldiers who were all lovers.
Is this like the 300 Spartans as well? They were said to.
Spartans were all The idea always was that you would fight harder for your lover than you would do for your just for your mate, your pal. So the Sacred Band of Thebes were this elite force of kick-ass homosexuals who had never ever routed. They never ran away. They never turned the back, so to speak, without making a terrible pun about that. And they were only defeated against Alexander the Great, and the rest of the army fled. The Sacred Band of Thebes stood there, fought to the death, basically. Normally at the end of the battle, people come in and they start robbing from people and cutting ears and noses off. And Alexander supposedly said, you can cut up anyone you want, no one touches these are proper heroes, leave them, because he so revered them as a group. And the fact is that there have been all these elite units, and that being homosexual doesn't affect how strong you are, doesn't affect your ability to fight, doesn't mean you are weak.
Well, I think you'd be more scared, wouldn't you? Think about it, right? Somebody, right, can beat the shit out of you. They're not afraid of you.
No, I considered briefly in a dark part of my mind. I know exactly where you're going with it, and I was trying to avoid that. Well, no, the reason why people find it scary is because they go the idea of being beaten by someone who they would perceive as weaker. I think did an awful lot for gay rights. John Barrowman, his portrayal as Captain Jack Harkness. The fact that Captain Jack Harkness, I know he was bisexual, the character was.
But he was kick-ass.
He could beat the crap out of people.
Yeah.
Also, do you remember the old TV show Wiedersehen, Pet?
Yes.
They did a remake kind of series of that with them all grown up and a lot older. And they had Oz, who was played by Jimmy Nail. His son was gay in it, and he used to dress up as a drag queen. And there's a brilliant scene where at first Jimmy Nail's kind of shocked that his son is gay and a drag queen, and he doesn't know what to make of it because he's a rough, tough builder, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a Geordie. Yeah.
So he comes to terms with it in the end, and he meets his son, and he's like, oh yeah, don't mind what you like, son. It's up to you. You're still my son, and all that. And they're walking out of the place, and then some guys come up and they start calling him, and Jimmy Nail his character Oz is gonna do him in, and his son, I think, might still be dressed as a woman because no, Dad, leave it to me, and then beats the crap out of him. That is a positive portrayal, not the fact that all homosexual characters in films have to beat the crap, but it's the weakness, it's the fact they're represented as weak. I think a lot of, probably men in particular, don't like that. There's something about weak, cowardly characters which I think people don't like. Think about, I'll take this to wrestling because I'm a big wrestling fan.
I also think as well, though, that, there's also the perception by many that gay people are a threat. Like it's contagious, or they're all paedophiles, or
that is a common one, yeah.
That kind of thing, which again is absolute nonsense. It's just a lack of education.
Yeah, and well, I think some older people would be like, oh, you look like. Again, how could they have been educated into it? They were taught, when they were kids, the best it would have been seen as wrong. At the most, it would have been seen as a sin and evil, and and some kind of perversion completely.
Yeah, there were laws, weren't there, making it absolutely.
Well, Oscar Wilde, fell.
Yeah, but Oscar Wilde was a bit of an idiot though, because he would have. The allegation was made.
It was Bosie, and it was made by the Marquis of Queensberry.
Yeah,
It was was he the son or nephew? I think he might have been the son of the Marquis of Queensberry. And he started following Oscar Wilde around, calling him names, because he knew that he was knocking his son or nephew off.
That's right.
And so Oscar Wilde then went and reported it to, I think, the police, at which point, because it was a crime, he got hammered by the Marquis of Queensberry. That's
right. He would have been better off just letting it go and not pursuing it, because in those times, there's no way Oscar Wilde could have won.
Yeah.
There's no way. I'm not saying that he deserved to go to prison or anything like that. All I am saying is that he should have, in that situation, in that time, you'd been better off just keeping your mouth shut. Do you think that Oscar Wilde should have, instead of going to the police, should have decided to meet up with the Marquis of Queensberry and take a leaf out of his book and battered him in the ring? That is my terrible joke. Oscar Wilde could have used his wit and wisdom and charm, and he could have deflected it. He could have used all his skills, his linguistic skills, to make the Marquis look like a tit, and just. To be honest, though, there's only so again the guy who gives modern boxing its rules. You might not want him to be a bit of a clever arse.
I don't know how witty the Marquis of Queensberry was, but we don't remember him for his stunning riposte, though, do we? As far as wit
Well,
goes.
This is it. You know, Oscar Wilde could have put him down, kicked him into touch, and that would been it.
Or he might have just got the crap beaten out of him by a loony.
Yeah. So Marquis de What's His Face beats the crap out of him, goes to prison.
I think more likely, the Marquis, you know, the aristocracy, would have got away with that.
Of which.
Why did you beat him up? Because he's trying to bone my relation.
The thing is, though, I mean, it was rife amongst the aristocracy.
Yeah, but you don't admit it, do they? I wish Paul was still here. He could give us a first-hand insight into it. But anyway,
it's great.
We keep going off the point here tonight. I like the fact that this comic book, that they're portrayed as being hard bastards. I think that is good. That is what you need.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, because again, I just think this idea of the perceived weakness of homosexuals in media has, for a lot of people, it makes. I just think that as human species, we tend to look down on the weak.
Well, you know, when we were at university together, allegedly, because no one knows who we are.
No one can carry on. No one
yeah,
can
well,
work
when we were at university together, you know, there were quite a few gay people there, and I wouldn't say any of them were particularly.
Do you remember Jenny?
Jenny,
lesbian.
Yeah.
Oh, I think she's probably one of the toughest people I've ever met.
I know exactly. I've got to say, even so there were a couple of the gay guys were very camp, but again, you won't want to fight them.
That is fine. What the point is, you can have your camp, kind of effeminate, kind of soft gays. I just don't like the fact that it's put the portrayal of all homosexuals is all homosexuals are weak and have female qualities.
But the thing is, I wouldn't have said that any of the effeminate ones at university were particularly weak. I think they could beat Gyllenhaal in a fight.
Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah, but I think he has bulked up for some roles before, Jake Gyllenhaal. He's played a boxer as well, I'm pretty sure, at some point.
But he probably can't box.
I don't know. He's got all day to train, hasn't he? But that's what. So that's my comic of the week, British comic of the week. Go and check The Pride out by Joe Glass. It's good. And the fact there's a giant bondage bear in it. You know, what more do you want? Which leads me on to, finally, this is going to be probably our longest show, which is why we should never invite Catface on ever again.
It got deep, didn't it?
I knew he would. He likes to use big words all the time.
He's like a walking thesaurus.
Yeah, or any kind of dinosaur. So, what we're going to talk about is, we mentioned last time quite a few conventions. We mentioned on last episode the MCM Midlands Comic Con, which is at the Telford International Centre on February the 14th. And when we mentioned it last episode, we didn't have any guests for it, but they actually have some guests now. So, there's going to be Chris Barry and Robert Llewellyn from Red Dwarf are going to be there. There's going to be Commander Shepard, Mark Mear, who does the voice of Commander Shepard in the Mass Effect series of games. And they're going to introduce Skip to the End, which is MCM's Comic Con new podcast partner. Bastards.
Who's that?
Some podcasts, obviously more popular than us. The shits.
Well, they've got more than 2 listeners.
Well, they're official podcast partners. I didn't realise that you get to be podcast partners.
Yeah, probably if you've got like lots of listeners.
Maybe you've done more than 3 episodes, I'm thinking.
And you've got lots of listeners.
Well, we're building it up, aren't we? Well, now Flaming Catface has killed it off, hasn't he, by going all deep.
What's our list count? What's our number
of actual listeners?
Yeah.
We're into the double figures easily. No, we're doing okay, actually. To be honest, I'm not actually... We post this on Podomatic and on iTunes. I've not actually looked at the iTunes figures for it. The Podomatic ones are quite good. You know, we're doing... I can't remember off the top of my head. We're doing okay for a new podcast. But
there's completely unstructured done in your living room.
Yeah, I think most podcasts are like that, I'm going to assume. Most of the ones I listen to, all the best ones are.
All the best ones.
But anyway, they're some of the people who are going to be there at the MCM Midlands Comic Con. Sounds like it could be good. Again, we could maybe go to that. Or maybe not now that they've gone and got a different podcast. A more successful podcast than
we'll just go, but be incognito.
Or try and get in on their podcast and talk in the background.
What, like akin to like those people that what do you call it? Photobomb newsreaders.
Pod bomb.
Pod bomb.
Boom.
Boom.
Right, the other thing I want to talk about then, so that is the MCM Midlands Comic Con. That's on February the 14th. There are other February based comic. You know what? I'll quickly give them a name check because we spoke about them in previous episodes. True Believers Comic Festival, Cheltenham Racecourse, February the 7th. Going to be awesome. Animanga Pop, Holiday in Plymouth, February the 7th as well. That's going to look really good if you like manga. We've already mentioned MCM Midlands Comic Con, February the 14th. Demon Con, which is a World Star Arcade Maidstone, February the 15th. That was spoken about in a previous episode, which brings me on to the last Comic Con that I can see in February, which is February the 21st to the 22nd, and this is the Sunderland Comic Con. And there's a reason why I've kept this one till the last, because there are some proper comic book royalty. Brian Talbot is going to be there with his wife, Mary Talbot. Now, the reason why I mentioned Brian Talbot is because Brian Talbot not only is a bloody nice bloke, I've met him. I bought one of his books, Granville books, and I went and bought them, and there was this guy sat there, this unassuming guy sat at this stall, no one around him. And I thought, well, that can't be Brian Talbot, otherwise there'd be a huge flipping queue. The reason being that Brian Talbot did arguably Britain's first graphic novel. That's what he's famous for. He's brilliant anyway. So I got this book, and he said, do you want me to sign it? And I went, yeah, if you want. And so I thought he was going to scurry off and go and find Brian Talbot. But he was Brian Talbot. And I looked at him and I thought, because I didn't even see like drawings of him that he'd done himself. And I thought, that is an older version of the guy I saw in the drawings. Really, I had a little chat to him saying about how much I love his Chester Hackenbrush, which was some of his early stuff he did. Really, really great guy. Hunt Emerson's going to be there. I saw him give a bit of a talk. He's famous for the fabulous Furry Freak Brothers. There's going to be John Wagner. John Wagner, massively famous for Judge Dredd, the writer of Judge Dredd. You know, when it first kind of started off with Carlos Esquires as the artist. And there's a ton of other people, but they're the ones I really wanted to point out. Particularly Brian Talbot and Mary Talbot.
What date is it on?
Right, that is going to be on... Let's go back to it. It's on at the February the 21st to the 22nd.
So, over a weekend then? Friday to the...
Yeah.
See, that sounds like it's worth doing, worth going to.
Yeah, definitely. The fact that, particularly since... If Brian Talbot is there, it's going to be cool. I would say he's a big influence over my work. I've got some stuff I want to show you, Rob, that I've printed, Raoul. Because I've finished my graphic novel now. I'm just doing the front cover for it. And I wanted to show you my design. I think I need some... I'll do it off air, though, because people don't want to hear me and you gabbling on about any improvements made to it. But Brian Talbot, a big influence over me. Great artist. The granddaddy of British graphic novels. Let's call him the daddy. It's a bit insulting, isn't it? The granddaddy of him. But, yeah, and him and Mary Talbot as well. Massive influence. Go see them. And that... I do believe brings us to the end of another exciting and long-winded show. So, what are your plans this week then? More exercise?
More exercise, and I've got to do lots of work.
And I've got to try and get my comic book finished. I'll show you the front cover in a sec, though. I might even put it up. I need to start off maybe a blog for this. Put pictures up of things we've talked about. As always, you can contact us if you want to email in with any suggestions.
Has anyone emailed in yet?
I've not checked it. But, you know what, I'm going to start checking it.
You should check it. Get like a notification so it pings your phone.
I tried to, but I've got too many different things set up for it. I'll look into it. I will check it. I'm going to check it after this. empireofgeek@hotmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter.
We'll get a Gmail address.
Empire Geek. We can chat about this when the show's finished.
Okay.
Raoul. Empire Geek. Hopefully next week Andy will be back. Could we want Andy back?
Yeah, he lowers the tone a bit.
He does. It was too highbrow, wasn't it, listeners?
It was too. It felt like an episode of Question Time.
It did, yeah.
It was getting a bit, yeah.
Well, actually, write in. Do you prefer it with Andy, who says very little, or did you like it more with Catface, who we will start talking, particularly about the war. Get him on the war, he'll go for ages.
The thing is, most of his family fought in the war.
They started the war on both sides.
Yeah.
Uncle Adolf, yeah. Yeah, so that is it for this week. We'll catch you all next week. Good night.
It's alive! Let's show this prehistoric bitch how we do things downtown.